It's time for Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero. When it comes to news on 95.1 FM, weather always comes first. A chilly air mass will continue to spread across the Great Plains and Midwest. The greatest anomalies will be across the northern plains and upper Midwest, where daytime highs will be 15 to 25 degrees below average, with temperatures moderating thereafter. Unsettled weather will continue across the Northwest, with low elevation rain and mountain snow. Favorable upslope regions may have the greatest threat for heavy to excessive rainfall, particularly across southwestern Oregon into northwestern California. Closer to home, a warm-up will quickly occur with 5 to 10 degrees of warming through tomorrow, when the area will be back to normal, maybe even slightly above normal for this time of year. The next weather system will move into the area on Sunday, winds and dust being the primary impact. Rain and wind will move into the area Sunday night into Monday, but light accumulations expected, if any at all. We'll have another look at the weather following this news. After what the U.S. Department of Justice called a brutal attack on an individual on the Mescalero Apache Reservation, 37-year-old Dennett Jerome Chi has received a 9-year prison sentence. The DOJ says Chi and another man attacked an unnamed individual back in 2022. During that attack, the victim lost consciousness. Once the victim regained consciousness, he walked home and then was taken to the Lincoln County Medical Center, eventually transferred to the University Medical Center in El Paso. The victim had a fracture on part of his eye socket, a vertebrae fracture, and other injuries. When police encountered Chi after the incident, he was carrying a large wooden bat-like object. Facing federal charges, he pled guilty to assault resulting in serious bodily injury. The Alamogordo Police Department is alerting residents about a series of auto burglaries reported along several streets located on 18th Street between College and Washington. If you're a victim or have any information regarding these incidents, please call the Alamogordo Police Department at 575-439-4300. Also, be sure to lock up your vehicles and do not leave valuables in your vehicles. At last night's City Commission meeting, following the swearing-in of new Alamogordo Fire Department staff, the only item in new business was
consider an act upon approval of the annual reports from city boards and committees for fiscal year 2024.
We heard several people speak, nothing earth-shattering.
We have the staff liaisons here in the audience tonight. So the way we're going to proceed with this is each liaison will have 3 minutes to go ahead and present their written report, and then the commission will have the chance to go and ask questions as they wish.
The item passed 7-0. Following that, the commission adjourned into executive closed session. Oh, I should mention that the public podium mic was not functioning. I say it's the actions of the Illuminati. And Mayor Payne seemed to have forgotten what her job was.
Apparently, it's been a day for me. Today was my Monday.
We could tell.
Oh my gosh, I am a mess tonight. I know there are people online laughing at me right now, and I can almost tell you who they are.
If I'm one of those you were thinking about, you are absolutely correct. You can see the meeting in its entirety on the city Facebook page. Alamogordo Public Schools asks that all APS families please check your email for a very important survey regarding the next school year. The City of Alamogordo Easter in the Park happens this Saturday from 10 until 1 at Washington Park. It's a day of family fun, including inflatables, food, crafts, Easter egg hunts, and the Easter Bunny. News editor for the USA Today Network New Mexico, which includes the Alamogordo Daily News, Jessica Onshures, appeared on KRWG and spoke on the recent decision by the Supreme Court of the United States to not hear the Coy Griffin case.
He was present at the last Otero County meeting.
No, the last meeting was last week. Griffin spoke in January.
I came here this morning to once again bring to light what I believe is the most concerning thing coming up in our future, and that's the 2024 elections.
Hardly the last meeting.
He urged the current commissioners to continue some of those conservative policies and stances that the commission had held when he was a part of it. Now, this commission is a little more centric, but he did continue to tell them that it was their duty to pay attention to elections in the community. in Ontario County, especially this year and especially this presidential election. So I'm sure Mr. Griffin will continue to be a face in local government meetings and a voice for some of the more conservative policies out there within the county.
You know, when I hear conservative, I think Ronald Reagan. And yes, Griffin does lean right, but his message is more of a us against them, a populist message, in a similar vein as Trump.
Griffin was at the January 6 riots in the Capitol, which ultimately led to his bar from public office under the 14th Amendment. That was a decision that he appealed up to the New Mexico State Supreme Court and then went on to the U.S. Supreme Court. Their decision not to hear his appeal has basically upheld the state Supreme Court's ruling.
Is that what happened? Griffin was arrested and convicted for trespassing. And yes, a civil suit determined his guilt of insurrection, but in that entire segment, I never heard a soundbite or a quote from Griffin himself. So I picked up the phone to fix that.
I was tried for a criminal matter inside of a civil courtroom. Insurrection is a very egregious criminal matter, and if I was guilty of insurrection, I should have been charged in my criminal case in Washington, D.C., where I was acquitted of disorderly conduct.
I told Griffin that I see him more as a populist.
Because we know it's the top 1% right now. It's the deep state or the top 1% or whatever you want to call them.
Back to KRWG, Onshuras also spoke on the political future for Senator Bill Burt.
Senator Burt announced that he would not seek re-election to the seat that he's held for about 14 years now. He was first appointed by Governor Martinez. He is among several conservatives who have decided not to seek re-election. We know that Ryan Lane, who was the minority leader from San Juan County, is also not seeking re-election. It seems to be that we've got an interesting lineup for potential new elected officials in this coming election season.
You can hear the entire segment on the KRWG website. You can hear the entire interview with Coy Griffin on our YouTube channel. News from around the state in just a moment. This is Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.
Local news from local perspectives from local voices. AlamogordoTownNews.com. Local sports, local events, and local happenings, and more. Owned and operated by Second Life Media. We are Otero County. AlamogordoTownNews.com. Heard daily on Crazy KALH Radio 95.1.
Directory Plus is the right size book. It's the book if you need a phone book.
That's what just one person has to say about Directory Plus. With its red cover, features, colorful yellow pages, and lots more, it's no wonder people all over use Directory Plus.
It has so much more information. You can cross-check phone numbers or addresses or pretty much anything.
Look on the plus side, Directory Plus.
I'm a big fan of Directory Plus.
Governor Bill Richardson repealed the death penalty back in 2009, probably the only thing I ever agreed with him on. Fatal shootings of police officers in the past year have some, like former Bernalillo County Sheriff Darren White, rethinking that move. White spoke with KOAT.
Many of the police officers that I've worked with over the years, we'd like to see the death penalty come back. We recognize under the current makeup of our government, it's almost impossible. That's not going to happen.
White led efforts to get the death penalty reinstated, ignoring the data that the punishment does nothing to curb negative behaviors. It merely quenches a primal bloodthirst. White brings up the case of Jeremy Smith. Now, right now, under state law, the most Smith can get is life in prison. And I'm okay with that. I say let him rot. White points out there are several similarities to the in-line of duty death of Deputy James McGrain in 2006, his killer serving a life sentence.
Michael Paul Astorga was wanted for murder, and he assassinated Deputy McGrain. And this case with Officer Hare is very similar.
His accused killer also had a criminal history and allegations of murder prior to his encounter with police. Now, even with supporters of the death penalty, White says it's something that will likely not change at the state level.
The conversation that we'll have, unfortunately, when these tragedies takes place, it'll be about once upon a time. We used to have a death penalty, but New Mexico doesn't have it, and it never will have it again.
Sheriff, it breaks my heart when I hear about a needless death. But life in prison is not a bad thing. Criminals know that if they run from or fight with a police officer, they face the potential of lethal consequences. Does it stop them? No. Killing another individual who poses no threat to you or your loved ones is wrong. It's always wrong. Revenge is wrong. Incidentally, under the federal charges, the most extreme sentence that Jeremy Smith could face is the death penalty. So I don't know, maybe you will get your wish. A BNSF freight train hauling corn derailed near Socorro 10 p.m. Monday night. Officials say there were no injuries and no danger to the public. Hazardous material was not spilt. The cause of the derailment is currently under investigation. Specially trained Border Patrol agents intercepted migrants attempting to enter the country illegally in the remote and rugged Boot Heel region of New Mexico. That's according to the El Paso Sector Border Patrol Chief Anthony Good. He posted about the operation on his social media account, but did not mention how many people were apprehended. Good went on to say that smugglers were using radios and binoculars to avoid detection. The El Paso sector includes all of New Mexico. The city of Roswell will soon have a new cultural plaza right behind the Chaves County Courthouse, where many of the city's events currently take place. Chaves County Manager Bill Williams spoke with KOB.
The Cultural Plaza for Chaves County, we came up with the idea for this probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I would say.
The plaza is going to have a stage, shade, and seating.
And we were actually working with the city of Roswell trying to figure out ways to provide bathrooms downtown to take the pressure off the local businesses during large events.
That wasn't the only issue they were facing.
The current location of a lot of events is the Chaves County Courthouse lawn, and it kind of creates a little bit of an issue for parking. People have to park along Main Street. Often they'll close 4th and 5th Street for vendors and people that are participating in events, and so that limits the parking.
Having the plaza behind the courthouse could solve a lot of issues.
The ability to have this area in the back, right adjacent to a parking lot, allows a lot of that pressure to be off of Main Street itself. However, it's close enough to Main Street, people can still walk up and down Main Street.
Williams mentioned that not all the events would move to the plaza, but it would likely become the new home for the annual UFO Festival and other big celebrations. Right now, there is $2.2 million for the project. That came from Main Street, Roswell, and Chaves County.
We believe this is going to be a pretty quick project, and we'll be able to see it come to fruition quickly, and people will be able to utilize it very soon.
The plans are still in the works, but Williams hopes construction will begin this August and will only take about a year to finish. Sports and weather are next. This is Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.
They are role models and educators. Their work requires a great deal of time and energy for very little pay. Who are these unsung heroes?
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
The simple truth about education-based athletics in New Mexico is this. Without a committed team of coaches and administrators, they just wouldn't be possible. School sports, they bring out the best in all of us. This message presented by the New Mexico Activities Association and the New Mexico Athletic Directors Association.
A baseball player from Rio Grande High School in Albuquerque died yesterday after an incident on the track over the weekend. The teen was seen running along the track when he suddenly collapsed on Sunday. 2 girls leaving the track called 911. Deputies and medical crews found him not breathing. He was taken to UNM Hospital where he passed away. The team plans to honor his memory at their game today as they face El Dorado. The unnamed player was just 17. There are 8 games for New Mexico softball today, including Ruidoso at Capitan. 17 games for New Mexico baseball, nothing in the region. Your Crazy Radio spot-on weather forecast for the Tularosa Basin today calls for sunny skies, winds gusting up to 22 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight, mostly sunny and warmer tomorrow. Your high today in the basin, 61, low tonight of 38, high tomorrow 72 degrees. In Cloudcroft, partly sunny skies, patchy blowing dust, winds gusting as high as 33 miles per hour. Tonight mostly clear, winds gusting as high as 25, mostly sunny and warmer tomorrow, winds gusting as high as 25. Your high today in Cloudcroft, 36, wind chill is going to make it feel like it's 6 degrees. Low tonight of 24, high tomorrow 49 degrees. Local breaking news can be found on our website, alamogordotownnews.com, and you can learn more about Crazy Radio by visiting kalhradio.org. Also, check out the Crazy KALH Radio YouTube channel. That's where we post our daily newscasts, complete interviews, and other information which concerns everyone in the Tularosa Basin. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you've not done so already. That way you too can remain informed of the goings-on in the Tularosa Basin. Well, that concludes this edition of Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.